If your urine stream is getting weaker, slower, or stopping mid-flow, what if the real problem isn't your prostate and you've been treating the wrong thing this entire time? Most men are told the same simple story. It's prostate enlargement. It's normal aging. So they take pills to shrink it, relax it, or surgically reduce it. And yet, for millions of men, the weak stream doesn't truly recover. The bladder still feels half full. The frustration stays. Here's the part no one explains. Urine doesn't come out because the prostate moves. It comes out because your bladder muscle contracts powerfully and because your nervous system sends the right signal at the right time. If that signal weakens, your stream weakens. Chronic stress, nerve dysfunction, subtle nutrient deficiencies, these can quietly sabotage your bladder long before your prostate becomes a real issue. So the real question is not how big is your prostate? The real question is your bladder losing its power? In this video, I'm going to show you the hidden neurological and metabolic reasons behind weak urine flow and what most treatments completely ignore. Let me say something that may surprise you. In many cases, the prostate is not the primary reason your urine stream is weak. Yes, the prostate can enlarge with age. Yes, it can create mechanical obstruction. But here's what most people never stop to question. If the pipe is slightly narrowed, but the pump is strong, fluid still moves with force. The real problem begins when the pump itself becomes weak. Your bladder is that pump. Specifically, a muscle called the detrusor muscle contracts to push urine out. The prostate does not push urine, the bladder does. And that contraction depends entirely on signals from your autonomic nervous system, the same system that controls your heartbeat, digestion, and breathing without you consciously thinking about it. Modern treatment often focuses on relaxing the prostate or shrinking it. That's addressing the outlet. But what if the issue is upstream? What if the bladder muscle isn't contracting with enough strength in the first place? This is where the root cause hides. Chronic stress constantly activates the sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight mode. When this system is overactive, it suppresses the parasympathetic system, which is responsible for bladder contraction. In simple terms, when your body is stuck in stress mode, it prioritizes survival over urination. The signal telling your bladder to contract becomes weaker. Over time, this weak signaling can lead to a sluggish detrusor muscle. The bladder starts to lose tone, like any muscle that isn't properly stimulated. The result? A weak stream, hesitation, incomplete emptying. But there's another layer most people never hear about: subtle nutrient deficiencies, especially those affecting nerve function. Vitamin B1, for example, plays a crucial role in nerve signaling and energy production inside cells. If nerve cells don't produce energy efficiently, their signals weaken. And when nerve signals weaken, muscle contraction weakens. Add disrupted sleep cycles, excessive artificial light at night, and chronic metabolic strain, all of which interfere with nervous system balance, and you create the perfect environment for bladder underperformance. Yet what do most conversations focus on? Prostate size. We measure it, we scan it, we medicate it. But rarely do we ask, is the bladder muscle strong? Are the nerve pathways intact? Is the autonomic balance healthy? When we only treat the visible structure and ignore the control system behind it, we are treating symptoms, not the root cause. And if you don't correct the root cause, the problem often persists, even if the prostate is reduced. Now let's go deeper and understand exactly how this nerve-bladder connection works inside your body. Now let's break this down in a way that truly makes sense. Imagine your bladder as a balloon with a thick muscular wall. That wall is made primarily of the detrusor muscle. When the bladder fills with urine, it stretches, just like a balloon filling with water. But stretching alone does not empty it. For urine to flow out with force, the detrusor muscle must contract in a coordinated, powerful squeeze. That squeeze does not happen automatically just because the bladder is full. It happens because your nervous system decides it's time. Here's how it works. As your bladder fills, stretch receptors in its wall send signals up through sensory nerves to your spinal cord and brain. Your brain then evaluates the situation. Is this a safe and appropriate time to urinate? If yes, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch of your autonomic system. This parasympathetic activation sends signals back down through pelvic nerves to release a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine binds to receptors on the detrusor muscle and triggers contraction. The stronger and more coordinated that signal, the stronger the stream. At the same time, the internal urinary sphincter relaxes and you consciously relax the external sphincter. Everything must work in synchrony. Now here's where things start to break down. If your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, is chronically dominant, it inhibits parasympathetic activity. In survival mode, your body is not concerned with emptying your bladder. It is concerned with reacting to stress. So sympathetic signals promote bladder relaxation and sphincter tightening. That's useful in an emergency. It's not useful when you're trying to urinate. Chronic stress, poor sleep, excessive stimulants, constant mental tension, these keep sympathetic tone elevated. Over time, parasympathetic signaling becomes weaker and less responsive. But there's another layer, cellular energy. For a nerve to send a strong signal, it requires ATP, the energy currency of the cell. Vitamin B1, thiamine, plays a key role in converting glucose into usable energy inside mitochondria. If thiamine levels are suboptimal, nerve cells may struggle to generate sufficient ATP. Weak energy production leads to weak electrical signaling. Weak signal, weak acetylcholine release, weak detrusor contraction. It's that simple. Additionally, the detrusor muscle itself depends on proper blood flow and metabolic health. Conditions like insulin resistance and chronic inflammation can impair microcirculation and mitochondrial function within muscle tissue. When muscle cells cannot efficiently produce energy, they cannot sustain a powerful contraction. Think of it like this. Even if the wiring is intact, and even if the pipe is open, if the motor lacks fuel, the output will be weak. So what you're seeing as a weak stream is often the final visible sign of a much deeper issue involving nervous system imbalance, energy metabolism, and muscle responsiveness. This is why shrinking the prostate alone does not always restore flow. You can widen the exit, but if the pump lacks strength and the wiring is unstable, performance will still suffer. And the encouraging part is this. When you support the nervous system, restore metabolic balance, and recondition bladder signaling, function can improve, sometimes dramatically. Now let's talk about exactly what you can start doing to correct this. Now let's move from theory to action. If the real issue involves nervous system balance, bladder muscle strength, and cellular energy, then your strategy must target those areas directly. Here's what I recommend. Number 1, reduce chronic sympathetic overdrive. You cannot restore bladder function if your body is constantly in fight or flight mode. Start with simple daily nervous system resets. Slow nasal breathing for 5 minutes twice a day. Longer exhalations than inhalations. Gentle evening walks. Reducing late-night screen exposure. These are not small things. They directly shift your autonomic balance toward parasympathetic dominance, which supports bladder contraction. Number 2, protect your sleep like it's medicine. Poor sleep disrupts autonomic regulation and hormone balance. Go to bed at a consistent time. Dim lights after sunset. Avoid bright screens at least 1 hour before sleep. Deep sleep is when your nervous system recalibrates. Without it, signaling remains unstable. Number 3, support nerve energy production. Ensure adequate intake of nutrients critical for nerve metabolism, particularly vitamin B1. Thiamine is essential for converting carbohydrates into ATP. Without sufficient ATP, nerve signaling weakens. Whole foods like legumes, seeds, pork, and certain whole grains contain thiamine. In some cases, targeted supplementation under professional guidance may be helpful, especially if symptoms suggest nerve fatigue. Number 4, improve metabolic health. Stable blood sugar supports both nerve and muscle performance. Reduce excessive refined carbohydrates. Avoid constant snacking. Emphasize protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables. When insulin levels remain chronically elevated, inflammation increases and cellular energy efficiency declines. A stable metabolic environment strengthens both the wiring and the motor. Number 5, retrain the bladder. Gently. Just like any muscle, the bladder responds to proper use. Avoid urinating just in case too frequently, which can reduce functional capacity over time. Instead, allow natural filling signals to develop. At the same time, do not chronically hold urine far beyond comfort. That can overstretch the muscle. Balanced timing helps maintain responsiveness. Number 6, manage stimulants. Excess caffeine and constant stress hormones push the body towards sympathetic dominance. Moderate your intake. Notice how your body responds. Sometimes small adjustments produce noticeable improvements. None of these steps work overnight, but when you consistently support the nervous system, restore cellular energy, and improve metabolic balance, you address the root, not just the outlet. And when the root improves, function follows. Now, if this nerve-bladder connection surprised you, there's something even more important you need to understand. What chronic stress is really doing to your hormones and long-term metabolic health. Because the same autonomic imbalance affecting your bladder may also be silently affecting your heart, blood sugar, and energy levels. And if you haven't watched my video about how chronic stress rewires your nervous system and damages your metabolism, I've placed that video right here. Check it out.